Alas, as you've noted, there's a significant amount of water damage here to the ceiling and starting to spread, sort of across the ceiling and potentially down to the walls.
The ceiling at the Lyons hearing room is not looking any better. In fact, Town Hall is beginning to reveal its age inside and out. The immediate concern is that water is now leaking from Town Hall's clock tower into the upper structure, which has been a cause for concern for quite some time. The first temporary measure is to close off the Lyons hearing room indefinitely and then assess what appears to be extensive damage.
This would be not only a pricey endeavor, but something that would take a significant amount of time, just in terms of recreating and reproducing the various building blocks that make up what is a really ornate architectural piece. Right? This is our civic center. Right? It's been in service since, I think, 1912, so over 100 years, and it was largely donated to the town at that time and designed by a very renowned architect. So we do have a duty to maintain sort of the history and look of this space.
Jim Feeney says just getting to the troubled spot to start repair work is a monumental undertaking.
Jim Feeney says once the particulars are hashed out, this is going to be no easy fix. For example, there are basically two ways to get to the clock tower from Town Hall. From the outside, you have to get to the roof via the Town Hall annex. Eventually get to the clock tower, which is no easy feat in and of itself. Remove one of the clock faces and then enter the clock tower that way. The other way is just as daunting. One would actually have to climb a ladder above the stage here in the auditorium and then walk a wooden plank, which is no more than 10 to 12 inches wide, across the entire length of the auditorium ceiling, across the hallway that I'm inside above, and finally arrive inside the Lyons hearing room, above the ceiling, of course. As if that wasn't enough, at the end of your journey, you'd have to crawl through a very narrow space, no more than a foot high, to get to the clock tower. Quite obviously, the creative souls who worked on this building more than a century ago never heard of vertigo or claustrophobia.
Feeney says clearly this isn't just a simple job of spackling, caulking, and painting. How much is this going to cost, or is that simply just too early to tell?
At this time, in working with an architect to develop some cost estimates, our best estimate right now to sort of stop the bleeding, if you will, and that is to sort of remove, catalog, and roof over the space, is around $385,000. So we have an application into the Community Preservation Act to fund that sort of initial phase that will help prevent damage from spreading within the building and also prevent any accident or catastrophe, as a number of elements that make up the clock tower are cracked and portions are starting to chip off, and given its height above the street, you never know where something could land from wherever it may fall from.
Now you're talking about $300,000+ just to take it off and then cover the roof. I guess it's just too early to tell, with everything, all the unknowns up there, how much it's going to cost to refurbish and restore.
I would agree with that. Though, we may have some preliminary cost estimate figures. The way I've been looking at this building and, hoping to begin the discussion with the Community Preservation Act Committee is looking more holistically at the envelope of this building in its entirety. We have a number of failing windows. The roofs are starting to fail, so there are a number of elements on the exterior facade that need to be addressed, including chunks of masonry that are starting to fall off the limestone walls. So I think that now is probably the time to not only think about preventing further damage, but come up with a plan for how we restore the entirety of the exterior of the building over time. The building has stood for over 100 years and served us remarkably well, and the decisions we make now are, similarly going to be 50 and 100-year decisions, so we need to do it well, and we need to do it right so that it continues to serve the community for, generations to come.
There are places where water is expected, even welcomed, at Arlington's 110-year-old town hall. This is not one of them. For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnes.